Ahead of Colorado's most important season in 20 years, there are questions about Shedeur Sanders' work ethic, and I'm here to tell you there's no need to question his work ethic.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Bourber. Today's episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Game Time. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in, making me a part of your day, making me part of your weekly routine, your daily routine, whatever it is. I appreciate you guys and all the support. Let's talk about, is Shedeur Sanders working, or is he, as they say, twerking? I think Coach Prime was the one that made that saying up. But there was a video released by Well Off Media, and it has now gone insanely viral, as they normally do, because Cam Ward, who is the former Washington State quarterback who declared for the NFL draft, decided, well, he entered the transfer portal, was expected to go to Ohio State or Miami. All the big programs that needed a quarterback were going after him. And then he was like, you know what? I'm going to the NFL. And then he was like, you know what? I'm actually going to Miami. He and Shedeur Sanders, which they're both Texas guys, and Kyron Drones from Virginia Tech was also there. They were working out, getting some work in, and in the video posted by Well Off Media, you could see Cam Ward, or hear Cam Ward, which I'm not going to play the video on my page because there is some profane language that we do not, at the Locked On company, Locked On Podcast Network, do not want on our airwaves. But I will sort of give you guys the skinny, and I will read you guys sort of the transcript of what happened. So Miami quarterback Cam Ward was basically calling out Shedeur Sanders for not working. So he said, when y'all start getting water, when y'all getting on the phones, y'all BSing. So long story short, because I think we got part of the clip and we're not seeing the entirety, the part that stands out to people is him telling Shedeur that they were BSing, aka not putting in work. And so Shedeur responded with, he was late talking to Cam Ward. Shedeur responded with, he has to adapt to the heat because this video takes place in Miami. It was over the 4th of July weekend, or it takes place in Florida. So it's hot, it's humid. Shedeur's obviously, he's a Texas guy, but if it's hot, it's hot. You know, like, doesn't matter where you're from. If it is hot outside, everyone feels the heat. Now, some people are more adapted to the heat, which I think is what Shedeur was telling Cam, but it's still hot. And so Cam said, like, he was saying that he was late, but he was still making everyone better. And so Cam replied, you mean I can't, or this is Shedeur, excuse me. He said, you mean I can't stay hydrated? And then Cam Ward said, y'all BSing, man. Y'all can't handle the heat. That's what it is. That's cool, though. So he's kind of like poking fun at Shedeur not being able to handle the Miami or Florida heat. And so Shedeur talked about him playing in the cold, which Cam Ward replied with, I played in the cold at Washington State. It was colder. And then this is where it got interesting. So this is Cam Ward talking to Shedeur. I don't think y'all got better today. I don't think you got better today. I did. And then someone interjected and was telling Ward he was the whole reason we were late. And Ward reacted saying, better. I might have been the reason we were late, but I got better. And then Sanders replied saying that he would improve the next day. And then Ward continued on saying, we're throwing comebacks and you're just lofting the ball. You placing it, you not throwing it. Come on now. And then, so it was kind of like this back and forth. There was like another part here where I just don't want to read you guys the whole conversation, but Shedeur said, I know, I got another year of development, bro. Hey, dissing. And then there was sort of this like debate over Cam Ward being the reason that they were late. And so there was like this social media like disagreement where it's like, why is this guy calling people out if he's late? Caleb Mathis, Colorado receiver, set the record straight and said that Cam Ward was not the reason they were late. He said that he wasn't late. We all left from the same place. He had to wait on his car from the valet. And so obviously I don't think there's any backlash between, like, I don't think Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward are beefing. Like, that's the biggest takeaway from this. And I think people are blowing this way out of proportion because if there's not trash talk with your friends. Now, I've never been one of the best quarterbacks in college football, never will be. I've aged out, you know, being 5'7" doesn't allow me to Also, not having an arm or any ability to throw a football like those guys. I've never been in a situation like this where I could be the first pick in the NFL draft and someone's calling me out and telling me I'm not working. But knowing these guys and sort of seeing their relationship in past videos, it is obvious that they are friends. They are pushing each other to be better. So if Cam Ward is telling Shedeur as a friend, hey, I don't think this was your best day, Shedeur Sanders isn't butthurt by that. I can promise you that. Shedeur Sanders probably like, okay, you know what? I could have done better. Or he's going to take that to heart and be like, you know what? I got to prove him wrong. And I got to show him tomorrow, whenever the tomorrow was, that I can perform well and that I can get better. Because Cam Ward, I think, is just holding him accountable. I think that's the quality every leader has. And I think when you're with a bunch of alphas, there's always going to be someone who asserts himself or tries to assert himself. And I think that's what Cam Ward was doing. Now, what this has led to is a former NFL quarterback calling out Shedeur, saying that he doesn't work as hard as people want him to believe, and all this hoopla, like Shedeur Sanders basically questioning his work ethic. And it's really weird because I think it's really interesting. Like in all these years of college football and the NFL, I would imagine there's probably two quarterbacks that I can think of that publicly did not work hard, or like it's public knowledge they did not work hard and they still had success. And that's Johnny Manziel, who I don't want to say Johnny didn't work hard, but he was definitely dabbling in a lot of extracurricular activities, some partying, some traveling, some extracurricular drinks and other substances, whatever. Johnny Manziel was not always focused on college football. We'll just put it that way. And then Jamarcus Russell. I think Jamarcus Russell is, or at least probably now, is considered one of the laziest prospects or former players or former stars of all time. So those are two guys who, those are the only ones that stand out where it's like the best player did not work. And let's be honest, what is the one thing that Colorado does that no program in college football does, as well as them at least? They broadcast pretty much everything they do. Well Off Media is the epitome of like behind the scenes coverage. Deion Sanders Jr. covers literally everything that happens. So you're telling me all the workouts we've seen of Shedeur, coaching his teammates, all the workouts we've seen of Shedeur, leading his teammates in a players only practice, and all of this, and his stats that he put up, and all the fight he showed last year despite being behind the worst offensive line in the country. You're telling me that that doesn't equate to him, like that's not a product of him working hard? I'm not buying that. And so, granted, the show that said, or the person that said he didn't work hard was on the JV show, which is, you guys know, Jason Brown. He was called out by former NFL quarterback Sean King, who said, obviously, Shedeur Sanders isn't really putting in that work. It's one of those things that I've always wondered. So much of his offseason work is off the campus of Colorado. It's always, we in Miami, we're going to the yacht tonight. So like, we on the beach, we're going to film a little clip of us doing something. We in Atlanta, we're going here at a concert. So we're at a local party. All that said, he might be getting in, and I've never judged him, but the back of my mind, I know what the grind looks like. And for Cam to call him out, it almost seems like Cam's telling him, hey man, look, that was BS today. I've seen you work hard. That wasn't you. That wasn't you really getting it. If you listen to Shedeur's response, he kind of admits, okay, I'm coming back out tomorrow. So yeah, like I agree partially. I agree with the fact that Shedeur took accountability, because whether or not Shedeur thinks he worked hard or not, having someone else call you out, one of your peers, that's a pretty big deal. I would imagine that's a little like disheartening, because it's like, you know what, I think I did my best, but obviously if you're saying I didn't, then there's more to give, and that's okay. And so I think it's okay for Cam Moore to hold him accountable, but for all these people to start questioning if Shedeur works hard or not, I just feel like that's asinine. Like, how are we going to? The guy's going to be a top 10 pick, possibly the first pick overall, and you're going to tell me that he doesn't work hard? I think NFL teams are way too smart these days to know if a quarterback works hard or not well before he is going to be in the NFL draft. You don't think these NFL teams have sent out feelers on Shedeur Sanders? He's probably the most interesting quarterback prospect, I don't even know, probably since Johnny Manziel, maybe. It's hard to tell. Like, what quarterback prospect is as polarizing or was as polarizing as Shedeur Sanders was? Maybe Jameis Winston, but Jameis wasn't really polarizing. He just had off the field issues that Shedeur doesn't. But they had to do, there's a lot of looking into Jameis because of his off the field stuff. Like, what quarterback heading into an NFL draft is going to command sort of the popularity, the attention, the buzz that Shedeur Sanders will. So I think all these NFL teams want to know exactly what they're getting in him. They want to know, is his dad going to be involved? Are they going to actually pull the Eli Manning stunt? Does he want to play for anyone that's not his dad? Like there's a lot of questions that these NFL teams have. So for people to sort of make up this weird narrative that he doesn't work hard after one video, after a friend calling him out, like come on, let's be real. I think Cam Ward in his heart of hearts was trying to motivate Shedeur Sanders. I think had people told him like, "Hey, we looked into the future and your comments about Shedeur are going to get him criticized and his work ethic criticized." I imagine he'd be like, "Oh, that's not my intention." I imagine he'd say that right now that it wasn't his intention to sort of throw Shedeur under the bus. I think it was just his intention to motivate Shedeur. So, for all the people that are sort of trying to create this narrative that yeah, there's this sort of vibe around Shedeur that he doesn't work. I'm just not buying that. And you guys comment below if you're buying it or not. I don't think it is. Now, if we get into the season and Shadeur's not performing and it's sort of like say we're 5 games into the season, Colorado's 1-4 and Shadeur's struggling. And then it's like, okay, was he putting in work? Like what is going on? That's when I will feel comfortable even entertaining the idea of Shedeur Sanders not putting in work. Like I would need to see like a catastrophic start to the season. I would need to see a catastrophic just everything and I'd start to question it. So people need to relax. That's all I got to say. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the latest updates, storylines from Big 12 Media Day. But first, a word from our sponsors over at Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They have last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, and it's easy to find and buy MLB tickets for every kind of event in your area. Views from all seats in the venue, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCALL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCALL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I want to thank you guys for all the support that you give me. We're going to have some really fun episodes coming up. We're going to have some more record predictions, some more guests. We're going to have guests of other fan bases come on or other programs, excuse me. So that way we can kind of get a behind the scenes look onto what to expect from Colorado and what will be their first season in the Big 12, which as we all know, is a pretty big deal. So let's talk about the Big 12. So the Big 12 is currently fighting for relevancy, if you will. The Big 12 is sort of fighting for the spot in college football, the college football hierarchy, because it is clearly the SEC, the Big 10, and then it's the ACC or the Big 12, depending on the day, and probably the ACC in terms of brand recognition with Clemson and Florida State. And so it's Big 12 Media Day today in Vegas, and Brett Yormark is talking about the conference, and he says that he thinks they are the third best conference in college football, or one of the top three. He didn't say third best. He said they are one of the top three conferences. He likes what they're doing, and I think a lot of people are sort of criticizing the Big 12 because it's like, okay, you survived this round of realignment, but there's no telling if you will be able to survive the next round. And I totally get what people are coming from. I think the SEC and the Big 10, if they want to, which I really hope they don't, because this is like the sad and dirty part of college football, is it's all about money. I hope they don't break college football up into this sort of like top 32 programs only, blue bloods only, and then everyone else fend for yourself, figure it out. I don't think that's the case here or I hope that's not the case. But the Big 12 has a predicament. They need 3 things to happen this season in order to sort of, I guess, show they belong. One, they need a dominant team. And you're probably like, why would you want one dominant team compared to the league being so competitive? Because being a competitive league doesn't give you popularity. I'm sorry, it doesn't. That was literally the death of the Pac-12. Everyone was like, the Pac-12 just ate itself up. They took themselves out of the playoff. They prevented themselves from sort of like, say it was USC, Oregon, Washington, whoever it was, Stanford at one point could have been that team. They needed a team to not only dominate, but to sustain that success. And they did not have that. And they constantly beat up on each other. And while it was great for great entertainment, great football, I loved it. The TV networks and all the powers that be were like, they don't have a dominant team. They're just not that good of a conference. Whereas the SEC is different because there was always the Alabamas and the Georgias, and they were surviving these conferences, these games, where it's like, yeah, this conference, anyone could beat anyone, but no one could take down Georgia. So they need a dominant team, right? They need to do well in their non-conference games. The Big 12 has quite a few non-conference games coming up, and I think realistically, they could kind of determine their success as a conference, how they do in those, how people perceive them. They need to sort of show that they belong, because if you show that you belong with the or the Big 10 and the SEC, then people can't take that away from you. But if they have an issue where it's like, we just we didn't really beat anyone from the other conferences, but we still belong, not as good as them. So like there's games like West Virginia is playing Penn State. They need to win that game. Colorado, they beat Nebraska last year. They need to beat Nebraska again. Kansas State and Arizona, they are going to have some pretty big non-conference games. Colorado, North State, big non-conference games. Like there are going to be opportunities to sort of take down these other conferences, and Colorado, the Big 12 in general, they have to sort of take advantage of these opportunities. If they play an SEC team, they got to beat someone. If they get absolutely swept by the Big 10 and the SEC this year in college football, it's going to be a blow to the conference. It will. So they need a dominant team to sort of make some noise. They need to do well against the other programs. And two, they need to showcase that there is entertainment value. So whether it's Coach Prime in Colorado, whether it's Utah, whether it's UCF, they need to build that fan base more than it is right now. Because I saw a ranking before I came on of marketable games, and I think it was like the top, I want to say 40, top 50, maybe top 25-ish. I think it was we'll say top 25. And let's just say there was no Big 12 games. It was all SEC, Big 10, ACC. There was no Big 12 games. There is not a marquee brand in the conference right now. So they need that. They need someone to step up. Who is that going to be? I don't know, but it could be Colorado, could be Utah, could be Kansas State. They need someone to step up. They need fans to care about them. They need more passion. They need more pageantry than they've ever had before. And I think Brett Yarmark did a good job of getting the conference into this position right now. But the job is far from done. Far from done. If they want to survive the next wave of realignment, if they want to start poaching ACC teams and not the other way around, they need to survive. They need to get popular. They need to have success. So easier said than done. We'll see how it plays out. But the Big 12 has a pretty big year coming up. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Julian Lewis and his recruiting slide. Welcome to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day and make me your first listen of the day. Welcome back, I should say. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I wanted to talk about Julian Lewis because he did take a dip in the recruiting rankings, On3's recruiting rankings specifically. And I think there's a lot of criticism around On3. I think a lot of people associate On3 with hating Colorado, with hating everything that Colorado does or whatever. The elephant in the room. I think when they were grading the Elite 11 stuff, I don't think they felt that Julian Lewis was doing nearly as well as the other quarterbacks, like Keelan Russell, Tavian St. Clair, Bryce Underwood, whoever it may be, Deuce Knight, whatever. I think Julian Lewis, outside of winning that one event, I don't think the On3 people liked what they saw from him. Now, it's all subjective because this is how Julian Lewis ranks from the industry ranks. 20 Sports has him at number 16, which they did drop him a few spots as well. ESPN has him at number 2, and then Rivals actually has him as the top player in the country. So realistically, it's all subjective. These ratings at the end of the day don't matter. I think you could say, in the sense of like Julian Lewis is a blue chip recruit, regardless of whether he's a 5-star, 4-star, high 5-star number 1 ranked player, or if he's in 24/7 Sports, if he's recruit number 247. Like, he is a highly ranked recruit. Now, for Colorado, what is the vibes around Julian Lewis lately? Well, I think Colorado fans are really invested in Julian Lewis, and I think that's great. But I also feel like they're reading a lot into everything. And I'm going to tell you guys this, and I'll say it many times. Julian Lewis is, I don't say a marketing genius, or whoever is helping him, probably a marketing savant, if you will. He knows what he's doing. Every day he does something, he's posting with a Colorado shorts, or an Indiana shirt, or an Auburn football, or he's liking a certain post, or someone's commenting on a post. Like, he knows what he's doing. I think at the end of the day, his recruitment's going to come down to, one, where is he going to play right away? I think Colorado has the edge there. I think USC, they have the UNLV transfer who will probably get the nod next year. I really like him at UNLV, or liked him at UNLV. And then Georgia's also in the mix, but it's like, Georgia, is he going to play right away? They always have really good quarterbacks, right? So it's like, or not Georgia, excuse me, Auburn. Auburn has, Georgia does have quarterbacks, and they're his home state program, so they might try to get back in the mix, but they have good quarterbacks. Auburn, they have a loaded quarterback room. They have 4 guys that are all contending for the spot. Indiana, he could play there too. So, and he has a relationship with someone over there. So this is going to come down to playing time, sort of the NIL aspect, I would imagine. And then, how does your team do? Does your program take that next step? And I think that's where Colorado could sort of bounce back, or get another advantage, maybe, is if they build off of their 4-8 season and they turn it around to a 7-5, 8-4, 9-3 season. It's hard to turn that down, because, like, hey, we're different now. We're a different team. If they struggle, then I don't know what the like, it's going to be hard to get someone to go to a struggling program, someone of that magnitude, when they have such major offers elsewhere. So Julian Lewis recruitment, very interesting. I will keep you guys updated every step of the way. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. This has been another great episode of Locked on Buffs.